Hi, I'm Mahesh. If you don't know me yet, then I've worked at almost most of the main companies. That's me. And recently, I'm working in GCP or Google Cloud, where I'm looking at how can we automate our back office work like support, marketing, sales, legal, using AI agents. So it's a GenAI or agentic specific role. And before that, I worked at AWS where I built a platform that allow anybody to build agents, which is agents for Bedrock. And before that, I worked at Meta where I looked at large language models and how to scale them in PyTorch distributed, as well as how we were using recommendation models to scale them. And that's what OpenAI used to train their models. So that's that work. And then I worked at Microsoft for 10 years. So a lot of work I've done. That's pretty much this slide is saying. I also founded a nonprofit which helps other nonprofits to get to cloud and AI because there was a gap getting them into really tech stack. So that's that. And if we're done with that, then the next step is I also have a course. If you want to join the course, here is the course. And Maven has asked us to do these lightning sessions, and they keep inviting me again and again. So thank you for all your subscribing to these and showing up every time here. So thanks a lot. And that's it. We can get started. This time we are doing some rules for the discussion because there's just so many audience. Generally, we get more than 100 people here. So few rules for great participation. Please put your camera on. I don't like talking to myself. So if you put your camera on, you get a lot of advantages. So see, Kayuri is on. That's great. That's number one. If you can, please put your camera on. Please listen, learn, and participate on chat. So chat is where you will be talking. It's really hard for all of us to discuss things in these sessions. So please use the chat forum. There are a lot of people who know stuff, and I read all the chats. I will respond if something is unresponded. Uh, make it interactive. When I ask yes or no questions, just say yes or no. You need not to wait, raise your hand, just answer questions. I will keep it interactive that way. Uh, if you like something, if something goes good, please share your feelings. It just gives us a feedback, like what's happening, because generally I talk to the screen and it's not that much fun as I used to have when I take live learning sessions here at Google or I used to do at Meta. I had internal courses inside these companies. That's how I got into teaching. So somebody told them like, hey, this guy teaches inside. He's good. Why don't you make him teach outside? So that's how I reached here. Uh, questions. If you have questions, which I am assuming you will have a lot, so please send them on chat. Somebody in the team, Karan, Kayuri, or Neeraj will be able to pick two questions. I will take two questions. This talk is divided into three sections, and I will take two questions each at the end of each section. And Kayuri, is Neeraj around? Neeraj, say hi if you are there. I
Hello,
can't
hello.
see.
Hi.
There's just a lot of people. Okay, then Neeraj will do it. Neeraj from our team will be able to get the questions to me. Let me see if I can spotlight for everyone. Here I go. See, I'm the center now. Great. The last thing here is put your questions there and we will take them as we go. And please put your camera on, especially if you're asking questions. We will do Q&A in the end. In the end, you can ask me all kind of questions. I stay back. There is a lot to cover. So please, if you have questions or if you have more detailed questions which you want to talk, and if you want to have a conversation around them, please stay back. I would love to clarify questions or have discussions in the end, but I want to cover what I promised for everybody. So let's restrict question in the beginning, 40 minutes or 30 minutes when we land ideas, and then we can have all those debates and discussions. Sounds good? With all that said, 5 minutes are over already. So let's get started. Community session, evaluating your AI agents with confidence. Evaluation is one topic that I have got a lot of questions always on, either whether I was interviewing, whether I was presenting to leadership, or from my engineering team. Evaluation is something that is so core and foundation to you as a product manager that everybody will rely on you to provide it. And if you don't provide it, you will pay the cost by delaying the product. So that's number one. Second is these days, Even the recruiters are asking the straightforward question, hey, how you evaluated your model? Hey, how you set up evaluation? And if you can't answer it, you're not even getting into talking to the hiring manager. So I thought it would be an awesome topic for all of us to discuss, nail down. As this is a little involved topic, I will start with a problem and we will use that as an example. So first I will land what example we are using, what problem we are solving, and the solution. And hopefully, as I land how to do this, we can continue with that example. So if you missed next 5 minutes, it will be hard for you to make sense of this talk or this session because we will be using this example. So please, please, please continue to bring the best in the beginning. And then we will discuss how can you actually choose an LLM. That's the first thing you do. I know you can say we just pick the best. It's not that straightforward. So I will give you a framework or what is expected from you as a product manager to provide to your team, or generally anybody smart enough provides these things to the team in the beginning. What's that looks like? Then we look at how can you actually build a human eval which allows you to evaluate the quality and give feedback to your team or set the criteria for success for your team, because your team is relying on you when to launch, when not to launch. And we will set those criteria. We will see how can we judge agents as we judge humans, and as we evaluate their qualities, how can we replicate that for machines also. And I will give you a framework that I have used all along, and I kind of created it, that framework. So when Anthropic used it, it became a little popular, but I can say that I created it because I did it before them. See, I'm self-proclaimed creator of HHH from framework is here. And the last thing is, okay, you have a framework, you're able to launch. Now you have a way to evaluate things. The last thing we discuss is how can you actually scale it, because at some point your human evaluators are going to give up. There is a lot of cost involved in getting this through humans. So how can we scale it? There are a few techniques that we use in production, and that's our last thing. And then you can ask me anything. With all that said, let's just get started. This will be a roller coaster ride. I will spend a lot of time in the first two sections, and the last section I will leave it with some links for you. I will land the idea, but this is a huge section in itself, and I can write the whole course. So we won't spend a lot of time in the last one, which is how to set up LLM as judges, but I will give you enough that you feel empowered. Say yes if all of you are excited. Let's just go on. Say yes. See, I told you, you have to say yes. You have to
Yeah.
do that, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
got it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
We're going to do this. Okay, what is the problem we are solving today? We will take this as an example all along. So what problem are we solving? We are solving the problem in contracts. So what is the problem? Consumers, 70% of them are signing contracts without knowing what's in them. Even smaller companies or smaller startups, 69% are uncomfortable, 60% kind of regret, and 30% has already seen the consequences of signing a contract without reading it. They do it because they are eager to get customers, but they feel the pain later. And then even knowledge workers, these are the legal teams, these are the teams which are huge enterprises, they also feel that they are signing something without fully understanding it. And 32% have seen consequences. Either they signed something wrong, or they are feeling that they signed, but they should have reviewed it, or at least knew what they were signing. So that's a core problem across the segments. If you would have signed this contract, I signed a contract with Zoom. I downloaded an app for making UX mockups, and they had something called they can use my company name where I work till perpetuity for their marketing. What means is that if I build an app, a UX with them, I signed Google to be their, they can use Google logo as their customers till forever. And that's the kind of things we do. We don't even read it. We just say yes, yes, yes. But that's inside those contracts. So this problem is real. How can we solve it? There is a solution. Today we are not solving it, so you get the solution. Imagine there is an AI agent which basically integrates with your email and looks at the every time you get a contract, they go and say, great, They go evaluate the contract and give you what are the risks if you sign the contract, what is the good things, bad things in the contract, and then takes you and helps you compliance. If you sign the contract, then they help you compliance, which is if the contract says that no US, only US people should work or US citizens should work on this project, then they will give it to the program team and saying, ensure this should happen. This agent also helps you do monetization. So in contract, you say how you want to be paid, when you want to be paid, how much delay can be tolerated. It helps you get analyze that contract and put it into your systems. And then last is contract set off. So anything goes wrong in the contract, it also penalizes the other party by automatically deducting their amount of the payment. For example, if you signed a contract and said if you get more than 10 defective parts, you will only pay them 70% and not 100%. Then this agent can automatically deduct that amount so that your company actually gets the best of benefits without putting a lot of humans to check all these things. Great project, great solution. If you understood it, say yes. Just say yes, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, if you got uberly, I think you need not to get into details today, but if you got the broad idea, I think we are all on same page. Great. So this is how it works. Actually, it is live. It works. And how it works is it read my email, it gone through this contract, and it gave me these three risks. It also told me these are the good things, and somebody from our team built it. So it also have disclaimer that I'm not a lawyer. It also have a disclaimer that I can be wrong. But then it gives me a link, and using that link, I can go and I can go and find more. And how it works is that you can go and you get all the risky terms, and then it goes and also tells you in the contract. So I can send it to the other party saying, hey, you missed this, please add these. And it also red lines anything that's wrong, which I don't want, should not sign, and write something that I should sign. So it will say, please, I'm not signing anybody till perpetuality. I am only concerned about me. You can't take my employer. So it strikes out what is bad in the contract and sends it to the other party. So you can sign them faster if you are a small team or if you're a small company. So that's pretty much the product. It lives in your email. It gives you a way to get details also, but that's your product. Now starts the real deal. Real deal is, what are you going to do? The first step is for our evaluation is we need to choose the right model for this, right? So let's say they are using a model and now they are somehow they hired a PM and they said, first task you got is, hey, how can I actually evaluate the model behind the scenes? Because if it is an AI app, it's using some kind of model. And right now there are, last I checked, there was 176 models to choose from. And as a product manager or as an engineering manager, you need to decide which model to choose. And they're relying on who to get that requirements and all? You. So let's do that. So now our task is you are the product manager in the team and need to identify the requirement for the LLM that will power this app. Great. I gave you a cheat sheet. So first step, just do basic things, right? Let's get on our board. Let's do basic things first, and then we'll continue from there. Sounds good? 3 steps. Easy? Say yes. Great.
Yes.
Okay. So my job is to identify what model should we use and what should be those requirements, because that would be fun if we know all the requirements to identify or make an informed decision to get to the right model, right? So first step, broadly, what you used to do before, specify what accuracy will work. And you can just open your mics and give me an accuracy range which should be good for this app. Latency, or you can just say medium, high, low. Accuracy, latency, cost, right? So that's you are used to as a product manager. You give requirements across all these things. Accuracy needs to be high because I'm dealing with law. So I can say anything above 90% should be good enough. Why can't I say 100%? Anyone from the team? Team means all of you, by the way, today.
Because all the documents are not in the same format, so you may lose the information by extracting some loss.
So there
And
is an extraction loss. Anything else?
it's not possible with LLM.
Yay! Who said that? Good job. 5 points.
That's
There's some
Hallucination.
some agent is taking the numbers. Okay, latency. Do I need to be? You
Sorry,
saw
what
the
did the
design,
previous
right?
gentleman
No,
say?
so medium to low latency
Uh,
is good to go.
s- who said medium to low latency? Good job. Medium to low
Hello.
latency. Medium to great job. Medium to low latency is good because the agent is designed in a way that it lives in my email and it gets it. It analyzes it offline and then sends me a report, and then I can read the report, and if I'm not happy or if I want to know more, then I can go to Word, and on the right hand side I can see and I can go in detail what happened, right? So this is an offline job, and how you design the app, you have made it in a way that you can wait a lot. Great. Cost is subjective. I would say, like, what kind of company it is, what stage it is in, how much they have raised. So you need all that data to answer that question. So maybe you want to collect that data. I will give you some homework today, so it's clear there. But let's say cost wise, for today's sake, let's say cost wise, they're not that sensitive. They want the best product at this point because the margins are so high, because the cost of a lawyer to do it is $350 per hour, and a lawyer takes 8 hours. So you have a lot of room to bring value to this product. It's not a $5 job, right? You're automating a very high paying job. And if the customer don't use you, and if need to hire a lawyer, it's a very expensive proposition there. So that's why I'm just going with that assumption. Good. You got the
Mahesh,
requirements.
quick one.
Wait for
Why
your questions.
I'll
Please
get
write them in chat.
okay, sure. Thank
Today we have new rules. I will take the questions after I'm done so that we can have the pace that we want to operate in this call. Just for today, I put the rules in the beginning. So we are trying this new
Can you
method.
share the screen,
Okay.
Mahesh?
Oh man, nobody stopped at the screen and nobody told me that. Whoever told me, great point. Thank you. Please don't let me have the screen on and the board on together. I don't know it because I'm just here and I'm watching me. But if you're watching me, if I'm on board, this is how it should look. Great. So now we have awesome. Our board looks good. Go
Mahesh,
ahead.
sorry, just one point. I literally just got a quote for a contract review from a law firm based out of Silicon Valley, and they quoted as little as like 4 or even 2 hours for a 35-page, I mean, even a 50-page contract. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. It may not always be that time intensive, and they do not use AI.
Yeah, perfect. And how much per hour they are charging?
$425 for that particular
For
lawyer.
Great. So 425, still you have a lot of room, right? Because AI cost should be less than $10. So that's why I'm not worried about cost. Still you have like a 10x to 20x margin to play with. You can increase the cost 3-4 field. But thank you for bringing in the context. This is always helpful. So it's real. Actually, there are lawyers which charge 2 hours for a 45-page contract, and sometimes these contracts can go up to 500 pages for loan agreements. And if 500 pages, you can think of 9 hours, 10 hours. So you have a lot of margin here. What else will you put in your requirements? Can I get some AI specific requirements? Can I say context length?
Yeah,
Will that be
the length,
important for the model choice?
Yes.
probably, yes, it
What
will
is
Yes,
be
context
depends
there.
on the
length?
file size. I depends on the file size. I need the context length should be cover all the file document at one side.
token length. Yeah, how
Perfect.
would you
So
differentiate between?
how many pages can I send to the one call for that LLM will be important, right? Because depending upon, somebody said 45 pages, 45 pages looks like I can fit in a 200K. But if it is 500 pages, then I need a 1 million context model, and different models support different context. We will see in a second. So that's something you need to add to your requirements. I know you have questions, but today we are trying a new style. Queries per minute. That's another thing which will decide where should you get this model from, because You can host this model. You can take an open source model, host it, but it won't scale for you. So you need to estimate your demand. How many queries per contract you are sending, and then how many contracts you are supposed to get in a minute time. So let's say you're saying we are in the beginning, we get 10 customers, and per contract we send 10 requests. So you should handle 100 requests per minute. RPM, request per minute. Ideally, you should have some budget for requirement for tokens per minute also, but let's stick with request per minute today. And then, do you need grounding in your app? Grounding is this idea that if I answer a question, I also tell you where I got this question from. So you can map this to the contract and validate quickly. We need it. That's why you will put your grounding accuracy expectations also.
It is precision also, Mahesh?
Yes, that I covered here in accuracy. That's a broader umbrella. So in accuracy, you are taking F1 score, which is a multiplier of or division of precision by recall. Okay, so these are your requirements. Okay, second thing you as a product manager need to provide is, good, you got it. You put those requirements. Then you go and you say, what are the jobs or tasks I need to do in this app? Right? Because you are playing with intelligence, and if you want to measure intelligence, there are benchmarks. Benchmarks is somebody has gone and actually went ahead and did Q&A or did find the questions, find the right answers, and then scored the models. So there are benchmarks for different kind of things. Like for this app, what you will need for this app? Anybody? What are the tasks? Let me give you one example. Like language understanding is a task that machines do. And I'm trying to see any other other things that my app does, like it has to understand language. If it need to understand contracts and give me risks. Other than that,
Obligations, performance obligations.
It means an understanding of law.
legal space understanding, great.
I think it should first be able to classify the document, because besides contracts, you can also send other documents.
Classification, great. Any other job? Any other task?
It needs to understand the goals of the client. And some of them.
Goals. And can I broaden this? Just a great one. Can I say reasoning capabilities? That should be goals, create a plan, evaluate that plan, right? And chain of thought, which is a plan subset of plan. First, I know chain of thought, and then I can come up with the plan. Okay, so it needs to have reasoning capabilities, need to have language understanding, it needs to have legal space, Q&A, classification. Anything else? Last thing?
Where's the validation
Risks.
going?
We are just looking what the app is doing, like what task it does.
Read and write.
Read and write is okay. Like I'm looking at intelligence one. So one thing I will leave it with is tools, because it needs to integrate with email, post it in some kind of CRM eventually. It also need to integrate with your APIs to give you reminders like calendar and other things. So it has to have tool usage also, right? Which is normal things in today's job. So once as a product manager, you define like what these tasks are, then it gives you a superpower to make this choice, because then you can find which benchmarks are applicable to these tasks, right? So then what you can do is, let me just get back to screen because it's faster that way. So you have identified all these, and of course more. I just gave few examples to make you understand the idea. And then you can found what are the public relevant benchmarks which can help you access the quality of these things for the models. Good. So the benchmarks on your right. And then last step you can do is, when these model providers actually publish their models, they publish what is the value or how accurate they are in these public benchmarks. So they have run the test, they have validated, they have evaluated their models and published how accurate they are. And this is the numbers I got for these. In my quick research, you can do a quick research on these using the model cards these model providers provide, or you can just use latest tool from Perplexity
So,
or
Mahesh, it is called a
deep
model
research.
metrics.
Correct. If you go to the model card, or if you read the paper of that model when they publish, they will publish these numbers across these benchmarks. We can take an example of this one, like HLE, and then the benchmark providers also go and test them. So now you can see that reasoning capabilities is really bad, but the best is still O3 high. Then you can check, okay, something like common sense reasoning is important. Tools is important. I couldn't find others, but maybe you are able to find it. But you can find tools usage. That's where O3 high also shines. And people talk a lot about DeepSeek R1, but if you look at factual answers, it has a relatively 10 points lower than O3 high. So if you give this much, which doesn't require any engineering capabilities, it requires only way of understanding your product and what you want your product to do, then map it to the benchmarks, and then there is public evals already for you. Leveraging that, you can make the right call, or at least make a couple of suggestions for your team with pros and cons to choose from. That's how you make your step one possible. Today is a deep dive in engineering. It's not how to build agent session. So everybody getting it so far? So I did three things. I said, what are my top requirements? And for top requirements also, what you could do is, which is here, you could actually go and also check these leaderboards. I listed these in the deck, but this is a leaderboard that I like. And here you can check for total intelligence. What is the fastest model? What is the most cost sensitive model? And then you can go detail of these, like how they calculated the index, but you get top numbers by here, and then you can make a quick judgment call on speed, latency, and speed, cost, and accuracy also. So far, so good. Can somebody suggest a model for me for our app? What model should I go based on this data and the data we have in our slides?
Anthropic, Cloudy, Sonnet.
Sonnet. And why Sonnet? This is lower than 87.7, lower here, lower here. Are you looking at pricing? Let's go with Sonnet. Sonnet is 3.5, 44 in intelligence. Okay, maybe the price is what makes you happy. So price of Sonnet is 1.6, 1.9. Okay, but was price my number one factor? My number one factor was accuracy. So can
more
I?
important, right, than pricing if you're launching something for the very first time.
Yeah, and especially in a legal domain. So can
Yeah.
I overrule that with O3 High Mini? Because I see that it's the most intelligent model out there. And when I come to latency, it's like not perfect, but not that bad, only worse than Gemini. And when I get to cost, it's not the most costly model either, right? It's not like this guy, which is like just 20 times more than anybody out there. But this one is good enough, right? And then I come back to this metrics and I check, like, this is O3 high mini metrics. Mini is missing, but I see the numbers are not bad either.
We defined
There's
a
one
requirement
subtle.
Sorry, we defined a requirement of 90% accuracy. So
Yeah, 90% accuracy for our use cases. This is where we are just looking at public benchmarks, right? And we are
Okay.
finding the best at this point because we have invested $0 so far on our evaluation.
Right.
Good. Okay, great. So we learned one thing in the first 30 minutes. Now we need to learn two more things, which should be quick, and then we will do Q&A. So part one is over. Now you know how to evaluate or get to a right model. First, identify your requirements, put the tasks, find the benchmarks, put the numbers, do a quick math, and voila, you have a model. What is your homework? Obviously, you came here and you will not get homework. I do all the work. So here is a lab. which actually does this risk assessment, a smaller version of this contract. So you can actually have a lab and run this as a real product and see, you give the contract and it extract the right key terms in the contract. And then you can check the accuracy of that. It's a no code lab. I talk about how to use Langflow in the last call. So use that, and the lab is really good. So go ahead and just use this lab and it will set you up. And after setting up, you can actually go to this stage. You can upload a contract and start extracting terms from it. And then you can use that as an example to build a project or portfolio for evaluation. So that's your first homework. Please try this lab. Once you have tried the lab, create an evaluation criteria and tell me what models would you use for this lab for your own, and give me your results. Or best is, do it for all the three. These are the three people who are trying to solve the same problem. LinkedIn Job Assist is trying to find better jobs for you, which is a little different. But Adobe AI Assistant is solving exact same problem. They're looking for product managers in AI. Box is looking for product managers in AI. They have the same idea. If you have a contract stored in Box storage, they are saying we will give you AI insights. And LinkedIn Job Assist is trying to find the best job match for you. Imagine these are the three projects for your AI product. What model will you choose and why? And when you do that, you can also publish it. So change my life and publish it. When you publish these things, you get to have a 20-minute sessions with me. And I want to announce the winner for the last time. So Ajita shared or reposted the work she learned in last on her LinkedIn, and Karan did the draw. So if you didn't win, it's all Karan's fault, not mine. But she gets a 20-minute session with me, and you can do the same. Just go ahead and click this link. If you repost it with your own insights or just repost, it helps you in the draw. My goal is to push you enough to do things, because I firmly believe that you will learn only by doing. And that's why I do these sessions, and I give you homework also. So, and when you paste it, then I know it's done. It's one way for me to find. I know it's really hard to go in public and do things. So if you need a quick review and if you have done good work, you can send it to me. I promise I will review first three. Good. So now speed versus you. Okay. If you repost, Ajita will get 30 minutes. Congrats, Ajita. And if you repost this session, you can be the winner next time. With that said, let's get to the second part of this, which is step 2. Not step 2, but okay. You have your MVP ready. And now you've identified the model. The team has created an MVP, which is in the core lab. You have an MVP. And now you're actually dealing with real contracts. People are giving you contracts. You are giving them key terms in the contract. You're also giving them risks. How will you evaluate that? What is the quality? You can say, I look at bad answers that I get when I ask people how you evaluated your AI app is, I checked it. I had 3 more people checking it. And every day we looked at everything. And then I was like, okay, what was the scores? How you knew that? What was your targets? And people can't answer those questions. So how can you answer those questions is the next part. So let's go in there. So 3 steps there also. First, clearly define. Let me just stop and let's go on board. Oh, I need to pause and take 2 questions. See, that's what happens when you stop taking questions at all. I can take 2 questions. Neeraj, go ahead. And if you have any burning questions on chat, maybe no.
I've sent you a link. Okay, the first question is, any considerations from ethics or compliance perspective for the requirements?
Yeah, so there is a lot of ethics and compliance specific requirements, which we will talk next, which is under Harmless. But this was more like making a choice in the LLM space. And that's why we didn't discuss it, but that's what we will cover next, which is 3 ways you can cut it. And ethics and compliance will come under the Harmless, or what is Harmless, which is, are we doing the things under compliance? Are we ethical, or are we following our own company policies? And third is, are we not disappointing our customers in a way that we will be disappointed looking at those answers? So I will cover that.
Second question is the benchmarks don't have legal context. So how will you get domain benchmarks?
Great question. So you will get, you need to go and search for legal. I have a link, but this is a great question. And there are legal specific benchmark. Stanford has a benchmark which they use. I will send the link later, but Stanford has a benchmark where they judge Stanford benchmark. But I will send that after the session, but this is a good call. If you are working in a domain, look for that. And there are leaderboards and there are research universities which have gone and done that. They're not as famous or publicly available, but they have gone ahead and set benchmarks. I know there is a legal benchmark that Stanford published, and then they also evaluated all the top models to go and publish the numbers. So that's how I make the call, and GPT won that also. So yes, it's a good thing as a product manager for you to find. You will not find it in model cards or what model providers publish because they try to cut generic. You have to do your own research and find these university specific one. For legal, there is a benchmark called Legal Bench that's published by Stanford, and I go and check there. Good. Okay, I think we can get to the next step of this exciting journey. Now you have an agent, and actually agent is doing a job and it's taking contracts, it's finding the key terms, it's telling you what is risky, what is not. You have to define as a product manager two things as your North Star metrics, which is what is job completion.
Sorry, Mahesh, we are not able to see your screen.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Priyanka. Changed my life. I waited for you in the beginning, by the way. I wanted you to moderate, and then we got this bad
Oh,
moderator called
sorry, I
Neeraj.
joined late, but hopefully next time.
No judgment, Neeraj. Okay, job completion. Okay, and the second is whatever metrics you were using for your customer satisfaction, because this is a new way of getting job done. You want to make sure that if before this real lawyers were doing this job, and now you are asking machine assisted or machine driven stuff, your score you need to take as are they going up and down, and you need to define your job completion. What does job completion means? In this case, it would be, can I get all the risks? And you have to say, what are all the risks? And when I go, can I see all the terms? And can I validate it? So you have to define what the job completion means for your own product. That's your North Star metrics. Once you get it, you can start saying how many jobs actually my agent performed today and how many times it failed. That should be your total North Star metrics to start with. After that, you need details, right? Which is this HHHH framework, which is how helpful, because sometimes you won't be able to do the job, but you will solve it half, you will solve it 80%. And even if you do the job, is the job resulted in a bad score because you have completed the analysis, but it's not worth anything. So this is basically similar to the job done, but sometimes job done doesn't capture it. So this becomes an L1 metrics, which is directly contributes to your North Star metrics. And here you will ask a lot of questions which have yes, no answers. And we will go into details of those. Second is how honest. And third is how harmless. Isn't that how we evaluate humans? We say how helpful this person is, how honest they are, and they are not creating any harm overall. This we take care by law. This we take care by company policies, ethics. And this we let the managers decide with the ratings and bonuses. Correct? So this is how people came up with the framework. They said, how can we have the similar things for AI agents? And then what they do is, or what you can do is, you can define your questions. What call this AI agent an helpful agent? For an example, getting an answer to a term, like I ask a question, what is the liability in this contract? I should get the term dollars. I should get this. So one question can be, is the information provided complete? is it succinct? Because what can happen is, yes, I have done the job, but my risk is like 3 pages long and nobody wants to read the risk. The contract was 1 page long and my risk is 3 pages long. So I am not like saving time. Actually, I'm adding time. But the job is done, but it's not helpful. Is it succinct? Is it has all the information? Is the information presented in right format? And you can go on and on. You as a product manager work with the subject matter expert. You build this competency. This is where there will be a lot of differentiation in your product. If you do a good job here, your product will shine. If you don't do a good job here, your product will be bad. Here you say, okay, you answered the questions, but can I actually validate it? On the validation, is it passing? Is it, if sometimes you will have a product where you don't have sources, people are just asking for general information, then you have to check for factfulness. And if you are giving links, those links really should be able to click. Sometimes people these models just hallucinate links. So these are some basic example. And harmless is the section which somebody asked an earlier question, where you will say all your legal things, which is, it's not sending bad word like toxicity detector you have here. It's applying company policies. It's complying with AI Act laws. It's applying with competition specific guidelines. And if it is not confident, it's not responding. All your guardrails are going in the harmless section. And eventually how it will look like once you've done these 3 things. Then you
Mahesh,
can create something like this.
quick question. So when we're
Mhm.
talking about the MVP, we're saying that we have productionized it.
No, we are
Like,
talking about right now you're at a stage where you have built the MVP, and as a product manager, you need to make a call. When should we release it to first 10
okay,
customers,
got
then
it.
to 100, then to 1,000. So you are just there. You
Got
just
it.
selected the model, they built the MVP, and now you first time have created this questions. And with the questions, you can calculate yes, no scores across these. And if you can do that, you can actually set the criteria for your team that, hey, for the measurement launch, just 1 to 2% of our customers, I want the helpfulness score to be 60%. How that looks? Actually, I did that. So if you can, we took a contract and we extracted the key terms with what is the service provider name, customer name, contract start date. And then we ask these questions, and people can ask like yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And if there are no's, then we'll say helpful was, for this question, it was 0, and then it can't be 100% now. Correct? So you can set all the questions, set the ground truth, what is the real answers, where they are, and then ask these questions to a human who will go and validate this and give you your first evaluation. So this is how evaluation is done. And then as a product manager, you set these criterias at what stage you are going to go, and what stage, what accuracy you want from your product to launch this product. Good? Say yes. Or Mahesh, I'm sleeping. Say it.
Yes.
Okay, so what we have done is we know how to select the model. We have set a human evaluation criteria, and we will keep adding, right? Now you have 3 lens to look at it. And every time your customer says that this was a bad conversation, which you will know, right? Because if you send this risk and they came and they complained, or if you're solving support problems, then it goes to human. And in this case, it has to go to a human lawyer. Then you will know you didn't solve the problem. And when you ask them why, they will give you, oh, it was succinct, it was this, but it did not tell me the real place where it came from. Then you can add that question, grounding. Okay. And you keep evolving your questions to make sure you are getting into the right helpfulness so that your job is done, but you have a high helpfulness score with a high honesty score and the lowest harmless score, right? Or lowest score on how many harmful conversation you had. Good? Great. I will just keep talking to myself today because we wanted to have less questions. Great. Now, 3 agents we talked about. Your homework is create this HHH framework or questions for them and maybe run it to see how they are scoring in your own evaluation. That way you will know all the challenges, and that way you can go, if you're preparing for their interviews, if you're going and using these as products, you can also talk to them and give them a feedback saying, I use this framework, these are the questions I have created, this is my own benchmark, and my helpfulness score is coming as 30%. On your benchmark you claimed it's 90%, but my benchmark is coming as 30%. Are you guys doing the right thing, or should I move on to a different model? Do you have any other suggestions? Seems like it's not working for us, which will be an awesome feedback for the model provider or the app builder. So if you use Adobe AI Assistant for contract reviews, you can actually use the framework I created and give them quick feedback. And that way you will have a lot of authority or a lot of credibility when you go talk to them, whether it's an interview or whether you're just trying to be a consultant to them. Good. Okay, now the last thing. So now you have launched it, you have met this criteria, and now you have launched it to 2 to 10%, and you are taking 30, 40 conversations, 30, 40% conversations, which are not too many, hopefully. And you have a team of 10 people just evaluating these conversations, giving you the worst conversations. With that, you are either updating your evaluation or your engineering is updating the quality of your prompts, your tools usage, your things. And now you are in this cycle of doing quality hill climbing, we call it, where you are improving the quality of the product so that you can get to the next users, because you have restricted it to 2% right now. And when you meet this bar, you go to 10%. Good. But now the evaluation is costing so much, because if you want to go to 100%, you need thousands of customers, which will have 10,000 of conversation. How can you scale this? You can scale this by, again, 3 steps. There are a lot of questions that are in that sheet, which can be answered by AI services. What are AI services? Anyone, somebody? Out-of-box APIs from cloud providers are AI services. For an example, content moderation gives an AI API. You give them the answer or give them the text, and they will say whether there is a profanity in it. Profanity is abusive language, or hate speech, or frustration. So you can put that as an API, and now that this question can be now run by machine. You don't need a person to answer this question. And I put it in my slides, the API in the next section. So this API will allow you to check the grounding. This API will allow you to check the content for safety. And there are other guardrail API. And now you can start calling those APIs on responses rather than asking for humans. That way, you're getting thousands of conversations, and your harmless score automatically. Most of these can be validated, but some of them are so subtle, which is like, hey, did I answer the question? Was the question high quality? What is a high quality question? Then you have to break it down. And for that, you use something called LLM as judges, where you have trained your LLM to be a judge, which is, you can say, if you launched it, you know good conversations, right? What are the good conversations that resulted in our thing? What were the good risks? Given a contract, these are the 4 risks. Given the contract, these are the 4 risks, which everybody loved. The good feedback came from first to 10% customers. You use that to train a model to make the same call for a smaller section, which is, this risk is good or not, this risk is bad. And that's what the whole idea of LLM as a judge. I will give you this link. I found this very informative. This one has an open source lab. This is an open source SDK, which helps you develop your own LLM as a judge. They have out-of-box judges that you can just call. So if you look at this one, they give you these out, and they have a awesome UI, which allows you to see, evaluate things, how you performed across. Was it concise? Was it professional? Was it rejecting user clauses? But they also have a list of LLMs they have launched. So if you look at custom metrics, no, not custom metrics. Evaluation sets, no. LLM judge reference, AI judge overview. Yeah, this one. So here they have given these judges by default, where you can check, does it follow my guidelines? And it will tell you yes or no. And it doesn't need ground truth. That means it can just give you based on your own instructions, give it the instruction and the answer, and this LLM automatically will tell you, did it adhere to your instructions or not? Correctness, which is a broad thing. Relevance to query. Are we answering the question that the customer asked, or we just are answering something that we think is the right thing? And context sufficiency, which we were discussing. Chunk relevance. So if you're using RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation, then you will extract some part of the contract with the question, and it checks whether that part is relevant or not. And some of these in this diagram, if you come back here, what it does is it takes your request, it takes the response, it can also take ground truth. And then what it does is it applies those judges, gets a score, and generates metrics for you on a dashboard. So this is the last stage where you have all your questions, answers, your ground truth, your best answers for those in past, or in this case, if SMEs are doing that. And then you can get to a hyper scaled version of evaluation. To sum it up, what we learned today is, first we saw how to do a model selection, which is 3-step process. First, identify what are the where should you focus? Is it latency focused? Is it a cost focus? What kind of app you are building? Make a cut. A lot of models will be out just with that 3. And then take your model specific thing like context length, what you want, and the tasks and the benchmark, and then make the second cast and then make the informed decision there. Then go set manual evaluations, which is nothing but finding what is the top thing that you are trying to measure your success of your AI agent, break it down into HHH, and then put human evals and criterias to release. Once you have that, you have 2%, 10% customers results, you have very good results. Then you go find APIs which can automate some of those questions automatically, run them on scale, and then build your LLM as judges, which will divide these things that only human were doing. And this will be a constant process, but hopefully this helps you scale. In practice, what happens is the LLM judge idea is little immature, and you still end up doing a lot of evaluation for those things which are not out of box API yourself. But it's a constant pursuit for you to improve these LLM as judges, because once they start working, then you have a very distinct advantage in your app. With that said, that was it for today. See, I finished it on time. That's what it takes. Here is the next lightning session. If you want to enroll, the QR code is here. Please go enroll now. This will be more fun than this one, because we will talk about how to improve or price your products, how to grow actually this agent which we build and evaluated now, how to get into the hand of more and more customer faster than everybody else, and how to improve its quality with feedback loop. And I have a course. We are starting on February 28th. We are already oversold, and we are thinking of opening or doing 2 timings, because I don't want to have more than 40 students in one cohort, because I like to focus on each one of my people, because the goal is to help you achieve your goals, and I can't do it with 200 people in a class. So I'm contemplating the idea of expanding it. So if you join today, then we will know whether we should move people from the currently enrolled people to the next one, or open 2 slots, which just means that we will have 2 timings. But thank you for all your support. We have more than 50 people already, and hopefully we will be either closing the enrollments today, or we will announce a next cohort, or we will say we'll just do 2, maybe 25 if I have to cut it today, maybe 30. That's what Karan's numbers are.